Ananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udire Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtaki Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu yaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. श्री श्री राधा माधव की जय, राधा श्याम सुंदर भगवान की जय, नरसिम्हा भगवान की जय, पंचतत्वा की जय, गौरनिताय की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, जय गुरुदेव की जय, अंडाल की जय. My sincere prayers to my Guru and the Guru Parampara and Andal to bless me to speak on the glories of Andal today. Can I continue, Mataji, now? I would like to welcome all the Matajis and thank you for your participation in this Vaishnavi Sangha. I take this opportunity to thank my Siksha Guru, Rukmini Mataji, Her Grace Rukmini Mataji, Her Grace Bindu Mataji, Her Grace Subhashini Radhe Mataji, Her Grace Rajapriya Mataji, Her Grace Sushmita Saki Mataji, for giving me this opportunity and motivating me to speak on the glories of Andal, and also imparting spiritual knowledge and helping me in my journey in Krishna consciousness. I would also like to thank Nadia Nandini Mataji also, because I started my Bhakti Vriksha in her house with Bindu Mataji. So, and there is a long list of Matajis whom I need to glorify, but I will do it another time. But they are all in my heart. And also I would like to thank Sumalini Mataji for speaking of the glories of Lord Ranganathan and his pastimes and glorifying Sri Rangam Dham. So, I felt that before I glorify Andal, Andal wanted the glorification of Lord Ranganathan before that. So, I'm ready for it today. And kindly pardon me if I make any errors or have missed any important events in glorifying Andal, even in my mispronunciation of the words that I'm going to use today in Tamil. And please kindly give me your feedback and your constructive criticisms at the end of the session, so it will enable me to improve and speak better in my next presentation in the near future. Hare Krishna. So we begin today's Vaishnavi Sangha with the glorification of Andal. May Andal bless us all. And the contents of my on Andal, on the glorification of Andal, will include Andal and the Alvars, Sri Villiputtur Temple, significance of Andal, life of Andal, devotion to Perumal, compositions, legend of Andal's marriage, Andal's legacy continues, and we conclude. Andal and the Alvars. Andal was the only female among the 12 Tamil poet saints. Alvar in Tamil, Arvar, meaning one who immerses deeply in devotion and bhakti towards Lord Sriman Narayan. They are famous Tamil poet saints. They belong to the Sri Sampradaya founded by Ramanujacharya, which is one of the 4 pillars of the Vaishnava Sampradaya. They appeared between 8th to the 10th century AD. As we heard about King Kulashekara Alvar, who composed the Mukundamala Stotra, in which he glorifies Lord Krishna because of his profound love and devotion to the Lord, and recommends chanting and glorification is the only way to attain perfection in the age of Kali. Srila Prabhupada has given due recognition to by translating the Mukundamala in English for our benefit. The Alvars are an incarnation of the Nittasuris of Vaikuntha, namely the weapons, Garuda, Vanmali, etc. They live like human beings and work for the sake of humanity. The work of the Alvars are a replica of the Vedas known as Dravidic Vedas. In fact, the great rishis are no match to the greatness of the Alvars because the rishis, they got their jnanam, wisdom, from as a result of their own spiritual merit, punyam, whereas the wisdom of the Alvars is a direct result of the Lord's divine grace called Divyam. It is because of their works of the Alvars, it is called Divya Prabandham, which are 4,000 pasurams, poems. They are ardent devotees who transmitted their divine infatuation to millions. All their works are in praise of Lord Vishnu. They have left behind an imperishable legacy of devotional Tamil poetry. Sri Villiputtur Temple. It is in Sri Villiputtur in Viruddhanagar district, 80 kilometers from Madurai in South India, Tamil Nadu. It is 11-tiered tower, 192 feet tall, constructed in Dravidian style of architecture. It is supposed to be the second tallest temple after Sri Rangam. The temple is dedicated to Lord Vattapatra Sai and his consort Lakshmi as Andal. Built by Periyalvar in 788 AD, he won gold and prize money from his religious debates in the court of King Vallabhadeva of the Pandya dynasty. King Vallabhadeva was in search of the knowledge and the message of the Vedas, and he invited a lot of scholars and religious leaders, and Periyalvar was the only person who could explain the inner meaning and the supreme wisdom of the Vedas. And the king was so pleased with him that he gave him the title Patar Piran, which means chief priest. So the temple is glorified in Divya Prabandham by the Alvar saints between 7 to the 10 AD. It is one of the Divya Deshams and it is believed to be the birthplace of the two Alvars, namely Periyalvar and his foster daughter Andal Alvar. Sri Villiputtur temple is mentioned in the Brahma Kaivatsa Purana and the Varaha Purana. Lord Vishnu has visited Sri Villiputtur. The temple has two sections. Now, if you look at this, here's one section and here. Andal is located in the southwest section and Lord Vattapatra Sahi is in the northeast. Andal's shrine houses Lord Rangan Manar, Andal and Garuda. And Lord Vattapatra Sahi shrine houses the Lord Vattapatra Sahi in his reclining pose with Bhudevi and Sri Devi. And we have the Maharishis Bhrigu at his head and Markandeya Rishi at his feet. And then we have the Panchamurtis. And also we have a representation of Vili and Putan. And we have a lot of, there are beautiful carvings on the walls of the temple and on the ceilings of the 10 Dasha avatars and the incidents from the Puranas are all displayed in the temple. Now there is a legend of the existence of Sri Villiputtur temple, that how this temple came to being. The Maharishis Bhrigu and Markandeya were once performing their penances in the Champaka forest and they were constantly troubled by a demon called Kalanemi. He was the son of Hiranyaksha. And these both these Maharashis were so much trouble that they invoked Lord Vishnu to come and help them and relieve them from this demon. And the Lord was pleased with their devotion, and he came down personally and slayed the demon. And after slaying the demon, the Lord took rest under a banyan tree on the Anantasesha, and and then he got the name Vatapatra Sahi. And the place where he lay down was called Vadaveshwapuram or Shenbhagaranyam, which means beautiful forest in Tamil. Shenbhagaranyam is a small part of the large kingdom ruled by Queen Mali, and she had two sons, Vili and Putan, and both were good hunters. One day, both of them decided to go hunting, and they saw a tiger. They went chasing behind the tiger, and in the pursuit of the tiger, Putan lost his life, and Willie was grieved seeing his brother's dead body. And he was very sad and grieved, and he was so tired that he went off to sleep. In his dream, the Lord Vishnu appeared and told Willie that about his previous incarnation appearance, and told him that there is a cave nearby with his deity lying there for a long time with some gold and jewelry. And the Lord instructed Willie to build a small town and a temple and install his deity. When Willie woke up in the morning, he was amazed. And also the Lord promised to bring Putan back to life. And Willie, when he woke up, he saw that his brother was alive, and he was happy, and he thanked Lord Vishnu for this. And he went back to his kingdom and built this place, this temple and this town, and it got its name, Galiputur. And with the advent of Andal, it came to be known as Sri Viliputur Temple, the prefix Sri being representing Mahalakshmi. Now we go to the significance of Andal. Andal or Goda Devi is the only female among the 12 Alvar Tamil poet saints of South India. She was the 10th century Tamil poet. She is believed to be an incarnation of Sri Brumi Devi, the consort of Sriman Narayan or Vishnu. Andal is credited with great Tamil works, Tirupavai and Nachiyar Tirumori, which is still recited by devotees during the winter festival of Margari. She is an important female figure in South India, and she's brought 500,000 women for the devotion of God. Inspired women's groups such as Goda Mandali. Srila Prabhupada has given reference in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 9.79 in his purport. The incarnation of the goddess of fortune, known as Goda Devi or Sri Andal, was one of the 12 Alvars, liberated persons known as Divya Sudis. She was married to the deity of Lord Sri Ranganatha, and later she entered into the body of the Lord. A question arises, why Andal, who is Bhumi Devi herself, had to go through this kind of experience? The answer lies in the Avatar Rasya of Andal. In the incarnation of Varaha Deva to kill demon Hiranyaksha, when he rescued Bhumi Devi from the ocean, after slaying the demon, Bhumi Devi requested the Lord for her to become his student, lover, and servant. She asked the Lord to instruct her to guide everyone to get salvation from birth. The Lord, after taking several incarnations, was unsuccessful in teaching the Jivas what is the purpose of having been given a body. He felt his consort would be able to accomplish this. The Upanishads and the soft-spoken advice coming from a woman, so he chose Bhumi Devi for this task. That is why she took birth and showed us how to devote our thoughts, words, and deeds to the Supreme. Out of kindness, I will take birth on earth and teach the ways, the upayams to the people. Through Tirumori, Andal has taught us how to lead by example and showed us how to worship the Lord with flowers, sing his praises, recite his names with bhakti, and dedicate oneself single-mindedly to attain the Lord. Life of Andal. Andal was the foster child of Periyalvar, known as Vishnu Chitta. Vishnu Chitta meaning one whose mind is in Krishna. He was an ardent devotee of the Lord, and he worshipped the Lord with procuring flowers from his garden and stringing beautiful gardens and offering it to the Lord every single day. He also wrote many devotional verses for the Lord, and he attained sainthood. One day, on the 8th day of the Tamil month of Adi, when Periyalvar was preparing a bed for the Tulsi plant, he as he was digging, he heard a sound. He found a box and he thought it must be having some gold and some money, and this must be the will of Lord Vishnu. This belongs to me. So when he opened the box, what did he see? It was something beyond his imagination. He found a baby, beautiful baby who shone with divine radiance. He picked up the baby, held her in his arms, and took her home. He adopted the baby. Periyalvar brought up the baby with a lot of love and devotion and affection. He named her Goda, which means Go means earth and Da means given by. In Tamil, he called her Kodai. Kodai means one who has beautiful hair. Koda, he brought up Koda with so much of devotion and love to Lord Vishnu. And so she was dedicated to the Lord right from her childhood. She grew up hearing of the pastimes of the and the glories of the Lord, stories from the Bhagavatam about Lakshmi, about Rukmini and Krishna's marriage. She heard about Ramayana with Ram and Sita, and she heard the great all the leelas of Krishna, his valor, his strength, his opulence, and all his pastimes. She was so much dedicated by the time she grew up that she made up her mind. She had declared that she would marry none other than the Lord himself. One day, when Periyalvar and Periyalvar also brought up Andal with and taught her how to make string beautiful garlands to the Lord. So Andal used to procure beautiful flowers like jasmine, dandelion, champa, and tulsi, and weave beautiful garlands for the Lord. One day, and every time she weaved a garland, she wore the garland and looked at herself in a pond or in a mirror to see how it would adorn and look on the Lord. How beautiful my Lord will look when he wears this garland, she thought to herself. And she did this practically every day. And Periyalvar unknowingly offered these garlands every single day to the Lord Vishnu. But one day, when Periyalvar was offering the garland, he found a strand of hair in the garland and he was enraged. He was very angry. He said, "What was meant for the Lord is worn by my daughter. How is this possible?" He rebuked and scolded Andal, Kodai, and he told her and he discarded the garland and he began to weave a fresh garland to the Lord. And then he took the garland, and when he was putting it around the deity, every time he did that, the garland would slip. He did this a couple of times and the garland just didn't stay. He was perplexed, he was disturbed, and he went home unhappy. That night, Lord Vishnu appeared in the dream of Periyalvar. And he told Periyalvar, do you know that Andal wears the garland that she makes for me every single day? This is because of her devotion and love to me. And I like it that way. I want the garland to be worn by Andal and then offered to me. Periyalvar woke up with tears of joy and remorse. He was overwhelmed with joy and he understood that his daughter was someone special and the Lord himself wanted to share her presence. From that day, Periyalvar himself made Andal wear the garland before he offered it to Lord Vishnu. And that's how she came to be known as Andal, the one who rules over the Lord, the one who wears the garland before offering it to Lord. In Tamil, they call it Sudi Koduttu Nachiyar, which means the beloved who wore the garland and then offered it to God. Devotion to Perumal. Kodai was brought up by Vishnu Chitta Periyalvar in an atmosphere of love and devotion. As she grew up into a beautiful maiden, her fervor for the Lord grew to the extent she decided to marry none other than the Lord Vishnu himself. As time passed, her resolve strengthened, and she thought constantly about marrying Ranganathan or Tiruvarangam, the reclining form of Sri Vishnu. Andal was never alone. She wanted her friends also to be devoted to God and love Him. She wanted them to please God with their devotion, meditation, and worship. She gathered a team of friends for the Lord's service. They performed vratas with strict discipline. She trained her friends for special austere worship. Shri Krishna was the beloved of Andal. She wrote 30 songs of devotion to wake up the Lord. The songs became famous and are known as Tirupavai. Andal brought her friends to the path of devotion to God and introduced congregational worship and prayer. She showed an easy way of pleasing God. Not everyone can study scriptures and holy texts. Not everyone can serve God by spending money. All are equal in God's eyes. Dedication and love is all He needs. Andal used to sing praises of God, close her eyes, meditate, and forget the world. Her father admired her devotion. He was happy to see her lost in meditation. Just as in North India, Radha Rani is celebrated as the Queen of Bhakti. Among female devotees, Mirabai for devotion to Lord Krishna. In Tamil Nadu, Andal is remembered for her pure love and devotion. In Tirupavai, Andal is as Gopi Bhav in Ayurpadi Vrindavan. Emphasis on the ultimate goal of life is to seek surrender and refuge at the lotus feet. Andal prays for the service of the Lord as the ultimate Purushartham, not for liberation from cycle of birth and death, but to be born a number of times to enjoy his company along with the gopis. The compositions of Andal are Tirupavai is a Tamil devotional poem composed by Andal. It consists of 30 pasurams, stanzas in praise of Lord Vishnu, a quintessential wisdom of the Vedas and Purana Upanishads. Tirupavai means highest devotion to God. It is a part of the Divya Prabandham and a collection of work of the 12 Alvars. Through Tirupavai, Andal gives us a universal call to all the people to recite the names and glories of Lord Vishnu. Andal's 30 pasurams contain the principles of Vaishnava Dharma, and they are sung and recited during the month of Margari, mid-December to mid-January, winter time, pre-dawn hour, Brahma Muhurta. A vratam or a vow, pavai, called Dhanur Masa Vratam. By practicing this vratam, one can attain not only materialistic happiness but eternal bliss. The vratam was performed for Lord Krishna. He is the bestower of happiness and is constantly he's the bestower of happiness. Man is constantly in quest of happiness, but he has to do a number of activities for that, and material activities will lead only to sorrow. So Andal desired eternal bliss and thus attained the Lord. She instilled such faith through the Pasurams. Vaishnavas sing these songs to bring peace, prosperity, and divine grace. Andal assumes herself as a cowherd girl in Krishna Leela, performing a particular vow to marry the Lord and thereby obtain an everlasting company, and invites all her friends to join her in this vratam. If symbolically seen, Andal humbly requests her friends to wake up and seek Krishna. who is the essence of the three mantras in Vaishnava tradition. These mantras are the Tiru Mantram, Dvayam, and Charam Shloka that signifies the truth of the Paramatman or the Supreme Lord who dwells in everything. The Pasuram begins with the first few words of the Pasuram. The first 5 verses are an introduction to the theme, principle, and purpose. They tell you the do's and the don'ts of the vrata. Andal says to give up luxury during this time and offer sincere prayers and worship to the Lord. In the next few verses, she describes the importance of community participation. She invites her friends to gather flowers. She talks about the ambience in the following verses. She's describing the ambience, the chirping of the birds, the colorful blossoms, the musical sounds of butter churning, the herds of cattle with their tinkling bells, the sound of the conch in the temple. She visits each and every household and wakes up her friends to join her in this vratam. She praises the incarnations of the Lord. In the next 5 verses, she describes the visit to the temple to wake up Krishna, to wake up the Lord, appeasing the temple guards and entering the temple, reciting prayers, extolling the parents of Krishna to wake up Krishna and Balarama and his consort for them to have their darshan. The 27th Parshuram explains the importance of Acharya, whose guidance is mandatory to his disciples. Andal never wanted to be referred to as Andal, but as Vishnu Chitta's Kodai, because she considered her father as her guru. She approaches Krishna through him. This shows the importance of Acharya Abhimanam. The last 9 stanzas are on the glories of the Lord and his blessings to all those who recite these 30 Pasurams with devotion. I have summarized the Tirupavai because it is not possible to cover up everything in this 1 hour class. Now we go to Nachiyar Tirumori. Another compilation by Andal of 143 verses are a part of the 4,000 hymns of Lord Vishnu, Nalayira Divya Prabandham, and are organized in 14 segments, and each segment is called a Tirumori. Tirumori literally means sacred sayings in Tamil poetic style, and Nachiyar means goddess. Therefore, the title means sacred sayings of the goddess. She compiled this in her teenager years, which displays her high level of literacy and religious maturity. The poem fully reveals Andal's intense longing for Vishnu, the divine beloved. The first set of 10 Pasurams is called a Tirumuri. It begins with the first few words of the Pasurams. The first decade is a set of verses to pray to Kamadeva to seek Krishna as a husband. Andal expresses that she will lose her life if she is married to someone else other than the Lord. The second decade is to preserve the sand castles that she and her gopi friends they have prepared on the banks of the river. Now here the sand castles are compared to their hearts, and they are pleading with Krishna not to break their heart, but to accept their love and devotion. The third decade is Vastra Prahana, the Leela in which Krishna takes away the clothes of the gopis and teases them, and the gopis are pleading with Krishna to give back their clothes. Here again there is a comparison made with Draupadi, who was disrobed by Dushashan, and she was trying to save and protect herself, but only when she surrendered herself to Krishna, the Lord came to her aid. And the same way, Andal and her friends want to surrender to Lord and request him to come and get them. The next part is she expresses her union with the Lord. So, that is very intense and very deep. Her marriage to the Lord in the next few verses, and her pangs for separation from the Lord, seeking help to attain the Lord, her restlessness and eagerness. The other verses are in praise of Lord Ranganathan. And one of the verses she's also pleading, sends her plight to the clouds and sending them as messengers to Govinda, who is stationed in Tirumala. Tirumori is also dedicated to Andal's efforts to speed up her union with Perumal. In this process, she waits patiently and finally is reunited with Vishnu. When we can view Nachiyar Tirumori as Goda Devi's advice to how a jiva can dedicate itself single-mindedly to attain the Paramatma. The effort and impatience to achieve the object at all costs. In Sanskrit, it is called twara, meaning unbearable haste or speed. Twara is a fish out of water that tries to get back into the water. In the same way, we also should feel the same, just like the fish out of water, without being connected to the Lord. How do we feel? So we also should think, try our best and make every endeavor to serve the Lord and make him and please him. The 14th Tirumori in detail talks about the development of a devotee from bhakti to prema. According to Acharyas, Bhagwan is subjecting Kodai to extreme suffering because he wants her to develop bhakti all the way to the Param Bhakti stage before revealing himself to her. He says, if Bhagwan reveals himself to a person before he has reached the Param Bhakti stage, then he will be shocked with this extreme delight. The Param Bhakti is when a devotee cannot stay even for a moment without Bhagwan Anubhava. It is at that stage when the Lord reveals himself to the devotee. This is exactly what happened to Andal till her union with the Lord. Legend of Andal's marriage. Andal grew up. She had to be married. Periyalvar thought. He asked her, whom will you marry? And Andal declared that she would marry only Lord Ranganathan from Sri Lanka. He is my husband, she said. Periyalvar was perplexed. He was wondering, how, where is the Lord and where are you, dear? How is this possible? He was so stressed out and tense that that night, again Lord Vishnu came to his aid and he told Periyalvar that Andal had won his heart and he wanted her hand in marriage. Periyalvar was overjoyed. His happiness knew no bounds. He thought, how am I going to get to Sri Rangam? It is 200 miles away. How will I manage to do everything alone? Then he thought of King Vallabhadeva, who ruled during that time and who had helped him and from whom he had won all that debates and prize money. So he called up, he spoke to the king, and the king was very much ready to help. In fact, the king opted to help and join the bride's side. He brought all his people, his horsemen and cavalry and everybody, and came with a grand procession. And Andal was beautifully decorated. She was adorned with jewelry, and her palanquin was decorated, and she was looking so splendid and so beautiful as a bride. And then the procession from Sri Valliputtur started. But that day, even just before the marriage could take, even the temple priest of the temple in Sri Rangam had a dream. The Lord appeared to him and told him that you have to, I'm getting married to Andal and you have to get her in a grand procession. So even the priest also made arrangements and started from Sri Rangam as well. And the procession carried on with varied musical instruments playing. People from all over were witnessing the wedding, the procession, the marriage, and everybody was watching with bated breath. The marriage was done, was performed in a very unprecedented grandeur. And finally, the marriage, the procession reached the 1,000-pillared hall of Sri Rangam temple, which was the marriage venue. Andal stepped out of her palanquin and saw the Lord Sri Rangam waiting for her. She was overjoyed and thrilled on seeing her Lord. She had been waiting for this day for long, and finally her wait was over. Andal dedicated and offered herself to the Lord, and she stepped in. And they went into the sanctum sanctorium, where she merged with the Lord. Periyalvar was very happy that his daughter was so fortunate to have been united with the Lord. From an ordinary girl to a worshipable goddess. Andal. Today, Andal is still worshipped with flowers from the garden. The garland worn by Andal, even today, is worn by Andal and then is offered to Lord Vattapatra Sahi. Andal is a person who not only gave Pumalai, a garland of flowers, but also Pamalai, a garland of songs, and that is why her name has been justified. Andal's legacy continues. Arayar Sevai is a song and dance enactment of the Pasurams. It's a visual song and dance, and it has been performed, it is for the last 1000 years. In fact, the Arayars are the king of music, and they are the descendants of Natamanis. Lord Ranganathan himself had instructed them to perform this art, and he gave them a red cone cap, a sacred thread, and a garland. This is how they dress when they are performing the art. And it takes about at least 20 years to master this art. After Sri Rangam, in the second place after them is Sri Valiputur and Arwar Tirunagri, where Arayar Seva is performed. Another significance is during Vaikunta Ekadashi, when the Arayars, they enact the story of Andal growing into a beautiful girl through the Abhinayam. Thousands of people gather every year on the festival and witness this car festival, which is during the Adipura festival. It marks the birth of Andal, and it's a 12-day festival. Early morning special pujas are done to the presiding deities, are decorated in their palanquins and brought to the cart. And Goddess Andal and Lord Rangamanar are taken in procession. Andal's garlands are also sent to Tirumalai for the Brahma Utsava. Here we have a small video of what happened this year. The Purohit here is actually saying that this garland of Andal has been taken from Sri Viliputur temple, and it goes via the Kalargar temple in Madurai and it goes to the Tirurangam temple via the Kaveri river, and then it reaches Tirumalai. So it takes about at least 2 to 3 days, and everybody gets the blessings and the darshan. So this is how the Andal's garland exchange still continues since 1000 years. This is the Garuda Sevai they do before on that day. For Tirupati Brahmotsav, garlands worn by Andal from Sri Valiputur temple are sent to Venkateshwar temple in Tamil Nadu. Andal's garlands are made of tulasi, sevanti, sampangiri flowers, are all worn during the Garuda Seva procession. Every year, Tirupati Venkateshwara's garlands are also sent to Andal for her Panguni Utiram. This is the time of celestial marriages, and during that Kalyanam, Andal Kalyanam, these garlands are exchanged. So there is an exchange happening. even for the Chittirai Puram festival. Chittirai Puram is I think a time around March, April, when this festival of garland exchange happens, where Andal's garlands are sent to the Madurai temple, where goddess Minakshi and Lord Sundareshwar, there was a coronation for her coronation as well as for their marriage of goddess Minakshi with Lord Sundareshwar. So this is another festival, and this is how the garlands are sent and how the deities are decorated. There is one more festival called the Valai Kapur festival, and it is celebrated actually during the Adipuram, the birth of Andal, by Shaivites in their temples. And Andal and Mother Parvati has been, decorated, offered these bangles, glass bangles, as you see in this picture. And these glass bangles are then dispersed to the crowd, and it is said to bring offsprings and more evil. Valai Kapu is a festival in which the pregnant woman wears these glass bangles, and the sound of which protects her and her child from evil forces. So may Andal bless us. The purpose of incarnation. Andal's Ninda Stuti, her Pirati's right to her consort for not bestowing his mercy to the Jivas right away, and instead waiting for developing the devotion to the Param Bhakti stage. Andal knows how only a few Jivas will develop Bhakti, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7.3. Manusyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam vedi tatvataha. Out of the many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 19. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvam iti sa mahatma sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 12, Text 13. Mad kama ramanam jaram ashvarupa vido balaha brahmamam paramam prabhu sangach chata sahasrasa. All those hundreds of thousands of gopis, understanding me to be their most charming lover and ardently desiring me in that way, were unaware of my actual position. Yet by intimately associating with me, the gopis attained me, the supreme absolute truth. The message, instead of instead Andal wanted that more jivas get the opportunity to serve Lord and develop love of Godhead and break out of the cycle of birth and death. To accelerate this process, she gave up her bogam of being in Sri Vaikunta and instead made her appearance on earth. Andal gives her final blessings through Tirumori that devotees who understand that meditating on the Lord and relishing his glories and pastimes forever is the final remedy for the bondage of samsara. Andal's seelam, her purity, and her pavitrata, pativrata mahima, chastity, are all what makes her the most noble of all women. Hare Krishna. With this, I end my session, glorification on Andal. Thank you, Matajis, for giving me this opportunity to glorify Andal. Please pardon me if I've made any errors or mistakes, and kindly give me your feedback so that I can improve and speak much better from my heart about the glories of the great Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna.